Hello everyone, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to the Wolf Podcast, where we'll be talking about what is considered episode 0 of Persona 5 the Animation, The Daybreakers. With me today is...
Hello everyone, I am Damon Kami, Student Point 3000.
This is FlOrangey. I've successfully infiltrated the podcast.
Oh.
I couldn't help myself.
Hey everyone, this is Mario Family 15, aka oh my gosh, Joker's gonna be in Smash!
What a time to be alive.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I recorded our reaction or someone did. Jesus H. Christ, was it glorious?
Oh
Yeah.
We were all just going like, what? What?
And as well, and along with me saying, I fucking called it.
I don't know how you managed to call that. I don't know in any realm of the imagination that Joker would be in Smash.
But here we are.
Yeah, well, I just felt like his moveset and otherwise would work perfectly in Smash, so... But anyways, that's neither here nor there.
Let's talk for another day.
Yeah, that's talk for another day. Anyways, it's been a while since we've done the Wolf Podcast, but that's mostly because we're tying up a couple of loose ends. We're doing Daybreakers as the first one, and next loose end is going to be, obviously, the Dark Sun OVA. But first things first, any kind of comparisons that we make to the game or animation are purely done for analytical reasons. And to give a brief synopsis of the episode, just to say this right now, Daybreakers is not considered a part of the main anime, so don't really compare it to the main anime. Consider it its own kind of thing. So now, getting into the synopsis, what we basically follow is one of the Mementos requests that were done in the game, which was the Phantom Thieves versus the Burglar Ring. We see this group of people that have been doing like a large-scale kind of robbery ring, basically stealing from shops and otherwise, leading to them actually stealing from LeBlanc, which was actually a plan that the main character came up with, which we're going to just call Ren, because it has been canonized with Q2 and Dancing Star Knight?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dancing Starlight.
Yeah, we're just going to go with Ren for this. And...
No.
It's Akira.
No.
Oh, stop it.
Obviously.
Oh, stop it, you people.
Vincent.
Which then leads to the Phantom Thieves actually battling the leader of the burglary ring. And that's really about it. There's no real, like... Oh, great, my heater's on. I thought I turned that off. There's no real, way to describe it besides... My god, comparing this episode to the normal animation is like night and day.
I was weirded out by how good the animation was in comparison to the actual anime.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Especially Mementos.
Oh, Mementos look gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Which was hilarious to me because I was like, I don't remember Mementos being this pretty.
Granted, OVAs have more of a budget, but still, it should never look this good.
A lot more shiny too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the first thing I immediately noticed while I was watching the Daybreakers was I was immediately like, holy fucking shit, is it me or is this animation fucking smooth?
Mm-hmm.
In more particular, the backgrounds, because I was looking at the backgrounds for the majority of this episode, and they look really damn good and detailed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, Dean, give your general thoughts on the episode.
All right, so to be completely honest, this wasn't the first time that I actually did watch this OVA. I watched this right when it came out, or almost around when it came out. Which would be about a year ago at this point? Sometime around there.
Yeah.
But
2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, it was around when, what was it, the Japanese released the game.
So 2016.
Jesus,
yeah,
that
2016.
long ago. Damn, I was in college then. But anyways, God, I'm old. Okay,
Hey,
so...
don't say that.
Hey, Dean, did you know that Persona 4 is 10 years old now?
God damn it.
Shut up, Zach.
I swear to God, the next time either you or Zach says, God, I'm old, I'm going to quote Gladiolus in From Episode to Sky. You know how it feels in 5 years.
Okay.
I think I just dated myself.
Okay, episode. I'm talking about the episode. I'll talk about my opinion, how I felt about it back then, but I want to talk about first off the starting about how I feel about it now. I think the episode still holds up pretty good, and there were some things that I was very intrigued about by this episode. Like we already noted the animation. For some reason, A1 pulled out all the stops with this one. Well, some of them at least. But they actually put in a lot more work to the animation for it. Mostly in the background details. I did notice some character things that kind of looked off, but it still looked really, really good. As for the plot itself, it's so weird knowing the context of this one, because I know that this was previously a Mementos request, an optional one at that you could do in Persona 5. And the way that they handled this, I guess in terms of the story, was also really trying to note on some of the things that do go on within Persona 5. Like, within the dialogue, they name drop like a couple of things that you can do in the game. At least from what I've noticed. Like, EY was mentioned, how they were the Phantom Thieves, and basically minor exposition details that were sprinkled throughout the story.
Not to mention we got a few character quirks within this one animation about like how Ryuji's always a loudmouth and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this Ryuji is game Ryuji.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of brings up to a point. This anime is a lot more, I guess, faithful, or a lot more represented of like what you experience in the game itself, rather than like an adaptation, say, from the anime.
Yeah, because even the Mementos request in the game was certainly one of the more complex Mementos requests.
Yeah, with like a couple of text messages here and there. But granted, I don't remember the friggin' gang troop actually robbing LeBlanc.
No,
Yeah.
that didn't happen. I know Ryuji suggested that as an idea or whatever, but they pretty much talked about how that could probably get Ren into trouble and even thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I guess Ren was the one who came up with it. So like, fuck it, let's do it.
and about how we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
I just love that. Like, he had no plan in case they decided to be rowdy. Just, we'll see.
Whatever. We'll see what happens. That is also pretty in tune with like in-game Ren, because in-game Ren was, I guess, a lot more bold in comparison with anime Ren. Bold as they can make him, being a silent protagonist and all.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I thought this was pretty all right. I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it a lot more now than I did back then, honestly.
All right, Cole.
So I'm just going to start this off by saying the exact same thing that I told Zach. Whoever animated this must be a boob person instead of a butt person, because An's chest is huge and bizarrely detailed.
Wait, I didn't notice that.
Oh my god.
Only
We're
you,
going
Cole.
there.
Okay, and now that I have gone there, animation-wise, so I watched this, I think, probably maybe a month after I beat Persona 5 when it came out in English. And I think going back to it, especially after the Persona 5 anime, made me appreciate it a lot more, especially in terms of detail of the animation, which I love all the little details too. Like how they have that, how when they go to Mementos and you have like that cut-in of all the other Phantom Thieves, and then Morgana just jumps out of the cut-in and turns into the bus cat.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah, those details are just friggin' amazing.
Or how
the transitions were great.
Or how Yusuke was talking with this one person in particular, which is what eventually led to the Mementos request in general.
Exactly. I also found, in a bizarre way, that I really liked how much we focused on the target of the momentous request. It gave us, rather than it being like, okay, I'm going to tell you how this person, and we're going to change their, and then we have the mission to change their heart, we really get to see how messed up they are as a person and why it's so imperative for us to change their heart. And I really did appreciate that.
Yeah, we actually see Ren actually, like, tail the guy and figure out, like, you know, the whole, like, everything that's going on with him.
Mm-hmm. Especially since it leads up to that really nice bait and switch.
And then, and then you even have Yusuke even talking with the guy. It's like, you know, the victim of this entire situation.
Mm-hmm.
Even to a point of Ren obviously hiding in plain sight behind a tree, not even attempting it.
Well, he's just good at that. Have you seen how he does in the game? All he does is just like he hangs his head low and just listens in on conversations.
Yeah,
it just works.
It just works.
It just works.
It just works.
It just works. God damn it, Fallout 76.
That joke.
That's all I gotta say, just God damn it, Fallout 76.
Thank you, Fallout 76, for this beautiful joke.
It just works.
It just works.
It just ain't right!
God damn it.
Anyways. Cool.
Oh God, I completely forgot what else I was going to say after the thing with the animation and tailing this guy. I will say that, at least for me, the difference in Kieran's character compared to the anime was... I'm running a blank.
Oh, no, it was more like game version.
It's definitely more, well, honestly, to me, he felt a little bit more like an unperson. But I think that's probably just because the OVA is so much shorter. It's only about 24 minutes. We only really get a good glimpse to who these people are, whereas in the anime we do get a chance to get them more fleshed out. So I think that's probably just a minor complaint, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of like characters, I know they really show off Ryuji's boastfulness a lot in this OVA. While as in terms of like the other characters, we get some of their quirks. Like we see that Morgana has a thing for An, and
he's really confident.
Yeah, he's really confident. I'm not sure on what Yusuke did. I think he mentioned something about something being artistic somewhere in the episode.
Well, you saw him do like the finger box, which is usually a thing for artists or photographers.
Yeah,
but one thing that this did actually capitalize on, which normally isn't capitalized on too much, even in the game, is that Yusuke does intrinsically notice things. He has a very keen eye for detail. Which is why he was said that he was casually approaching this guy to understand his circumstances.
Yeah, and because he's an artist, he notices details that not many would notice. Which is, the whole point.
Which is what helped him figure out, like, what was going on, and that's what allowed him to get closer to, cracking down on the burglary ring.
I'm so glad we also got a glimpse into Yusuke's school life, since we don't really get that in the game.
You're right, we don't.
Surprisingly so.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah, we don't go to Kosei that much anyways.
Or at all, for that matter.
Yeah, at all. And maybe we've seen like a couple of clips here and there, but that's about it.
And we only seen like one other student from Kosei, which was Hifumi.
Yep. Wait, did Akechi go to Kosei?
No, he went to some indistinct private school, I think.
Oh
yeah, pretty much.
Because he's Akechi and all that. We're at the point in time before Akechi was good, right? So we can still shit on him, right?
Yeah, that's right. This is the part where we still hated Akechi.
Oh, okay.
I was about to say about Akechi. I actually do like his little appearance in the episode, especially at the end.
Yeah, it's like that. I hate to be that guy, but it's like that one scene literally just made me be like, wow, one scene and they made this Akechi better than game Akechi.
Wow.
Which is hilarious for the fact that this was before the game was officially out.
I know, that's what makes it sad, because I keep complaining about this. when it comes to a catchy game. It's
The
like
irony is real.
it's like he figures out the identity of the Phantom Thieves, but we don't see him doing any kind of actual investigative work. It's just told. It's never shown.
Yeah, like, you can say what you want about how terrible Dojima is as a father. We at least got to see him doing some work.
Yeah, he had a job. We could at least reason with that. What was Akechi's job? He appeared on talk shows a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was about to say. Granted, the beginning is is the same, but I do like the fact we see him at the end for like that split second.
Yeah, exactly, which would make sense. I mean, he's a detective that's investigating the whole Phantom Thief situation.
Mm-hmm.
He,
And I love that. Like, I do like that, because it gives the idea, like, yeah, he's searching.
Yep.
Like I said, one scene and it just absolutely shits on Game Akechi.
Anyway, Cole, do you have any more to say?
Nope, I'm good. I liked it. It's very good. I actually like it more on the second viewing now.
All right, Zach.
Can we and the baton pass? Yay!
oh, that was amazing.
All right, then. So, Zach, you're up.
Okay, when it comes to me, my history with this animation, pretty much like Cole and Dean, I have seen this before, but that was right after I was done beating the game. I really liked it. So the second time watching it, I just still ended up really liking it. I was just gonna say this. The battle scene at the end, oh, so beautifully done.
Oh my god, like, yeah, see,
that battle.
it was so nicely done, especially with the baton pass and everything.
Forget the fight. Arsene, when he's first summoned, is breathtaking.
Yeah,
Oh, it
yeah,
was
it's not.
awesome.
Yeah, it's not the fucking going ghost from the first episode of the animation.
That was cool.
I will never not let that go.
Hey, we talk about like the whole summoning sequence. I was more impressed by how Narcissus came out. Like it was like he like ripped himself apart like physically, and then it just like the demon just came out.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah, and that was beautiful.
That looked cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Brutal, but cool.
God, I can't even imagine what, like, they're probably like sitting around and they're like, hey, you know what'd be awesome if he ripped his guts out and then came the demon.
Well, that's what you kind of do in the game, but then they're like, well, we never really see it, but in the anime, it's just like, oh,
Wait, really? I always thought in the game it looks like they were just spinning their heads.
yeah, that was kind of, yeah, but this one was just like actually gouging himself to transform.
And not to mention the battle itself is so impressive in terms of, well, for example, enemies don't go down in one fucking hit, unlike in the normal animation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like these things are threatening or something.
Oh, who would have thought?
Ah, gee.
Exactly, and there's actual strategy being involved in the fight.
Yeah, and also when it comes to the animation itself, but like the first thing I noticed, where you can tell how good this animation is, it's pretty much right at the beginning when you see how much detail Morgana has on him. He's the big meow he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh. Shoot. Yeah. As for the story itself, it's also really good. I do like the bait and switch they did at the end, and I even like the ending where it's like, hey, they're gonna do Kanashiro's Palace, who, by the way, was actually mentioned in the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. They mentioned the point in time where this actually takes place. Like, this is between Kaneshiro and after
Madarame.
Madarame, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Madarame's even like referenced at one point in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like after the whole incident that was taken care of. So I think they mentioned like something about like a news scandal that's happening around Madarame, so this hints at that this was after his press conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And since we do see Kanashiro's palace near the way end of the OVA, I'd take a shot in the dark and guess that this would probably be like around, what was it in the anime, episode 10 or 11?
I think so, yeah. No.
Around there.
Yeah.
So I guess that Makoto was doing something at the time.
Following Run Around with her magazine.
That would have been a hilarious background detail. I don't suppose if anyone actually found if that happened, because I don't think it did.
Nah.
Also speaking of the animation, Lamiko found this to be really funny. The way Joker just ends the fight with the little shot in the head up close.
Oh, that was badass.
That was
With his
fucking...
magically enlonged legs.
Bayonetta, is that you?
Related to Bayonetta was actually purposeful.
Yeah, exactly. Bayonetta, is that you?
I'm sure Mommy is proud of him.
All right,
Make it settle it in Smash.
Oh my god. Is there anything else you want to add, Zach?
No, but I'm trying to think. No, not really.
All right.
Because honestly, it's beautifully animated, but there really isn't a whole lot to talk about.
All right, so here's the difference between me and everyone else here. This is actually my first time watching The Daybreakers. I never watched it prior. I heard about it, but I never took the time to actually watch it. So I actually watched it twice before the podcast. Once just to casually enjoy it, and then a second time actively looking for flaws. The reason why I did that was because when I first watched Daybreakers, I didn't really notice any problems with it. Like, I was actually like, wait, I'm not seeing any problems. Like, unlike in the normal animation where some of the problems are so blatant it'll hit you over the head like a frozen fish.
Hi,
Episode 8.
and pretty much any all-out attack.
Exactly. But whereas here, I could not see any flaws on a casual watching. So when I watched it a second time, actively looking for flaws, I again came up short. It's surprising how ironclad in quality The Daybreakers is, especially in terms of its animation, the way they handle characters, which, yeah, will more or less pertain these to the game characters rather than the animation characters, because as we've all said, animation Ryuji is far better than game Ryuji, at least in terms of... Yeah.
Lorenzo, we never brought this up, but would you say what was Onslow quirk in this episode?
Honestly, I don't think she gets enough like screen time or otherwise to actually have a quirk.
She's the girl. That's her quirk.
Exactly.
She has a large chest. That's all that we've established.
Exactly.
So
it's
far.
like her and Yusuke don't really get that much, like, you know, time to really talk and such. Whereas, well, here's the thing. An and Yusuke's quirks are a little bit harder to, like, show very quickly. Whereas Ryuji's is very easy to show very quickly. It's just like, it's time for the Phantom Thief! Like, you know, that kind of shit. Just
yeah.
And like... Ren is a bit of, like I said, a bit of an unperson, but that's because he's supposed to be the silent protagonist and the one that you press your personality onto.
Exactly.
Much.
I mean, that could be considered a flaw for the episode, but then again, I'm not going to really, like, hamper the episode for that, purely because this was meant to be a one-episode thing that was supposed to be released around the same time as the game, so...
Yeah. The only thing I got from An in this episode was she's pretty much the nice one.
Yeah,
the nice one and the one who pretty much tells Ryuji to shut the hell up.
Yeah.
The one.
Yeah, she and Ryuji are bickering in the background during their discussion on what to do next.
And
it's beautiful. I love it.
And Ryuji has a bit of an animosity towards Morgana.
Well, yeah, didn't he always had that in the game, though?
Yeah, but we see it here in this one-episode animation where Morgana kind of takes Ryuji's line, and you see Ryuji just sort of angry at him, like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yep, so, yeah, this does pertain to the game a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
For better and worse.
Yeah. And another thing, the one thing that I do agree with you is how we actually saw Ren do his own research, trying to tail the guy and learn. See, I love this so much because it reminds me of the game. There were some targets in Persona 5 where you had to actually find or learn more information about them before you can actually go through with changing their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because it made you feel like that. It made you feel like that instead of just going for it right away, you had to make sure that you were sure about the target. Like they were actually as corrupt as, you know, they're brought out to be. And we see it from this guy. We see how bad he is, and we also see the physical abuse from his own brother.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Oh, that bait switch.
Yeah.
It was good. Like, I really loved it. And I especially loved how we got to see what was inside of the drawer, which he literally just tells him to burn whatever's inside, and it was a picture, if I'm not mistaken, of him at a competition.
Mm-hmm.
That his brother won, actually, which
Yeah.
may or may not have been the starting point of his animosity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the source of it was just him trying to, you know, make something out of himself. And since he found that he had a talent for lockpicking, then there it was.
Yeah, and there it was, and he just started treating his brother like garbage, and yada, yada, yada.
Like, I'm better than you now.
And that's sad, but then again, that's what I really loved. I loved how they, that they tackled that kind of an idea. See,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I
You
mean.
know, it's kind of
Go ahead.
no, it's kind of bizarre, really, because thinking about this more and more and digging it into a little bit deeper, I would not be against more OVAs like this that actually did flesh out these Mementos requests.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, certainly. There's like a couple that I think would have actually worked out just fine. Like the
Mhm.
bum that hangs out in the subway, where
The
apparently he's an assassin.
Yeah, or the stalker.
Or the stalker, yeah.
Yeah, because we get
yeah,
a glimpse
or-
of that. We get a glimpse of that in normal animation.
Mhm.
Or the assassin.
Cole just said that.
No,
I
Nelson
said
just
that.
said that.
No, I just said that.
Or
we
you
all?
just. Oh, and another one actually.
So who's on
because
first?
Who?
And what's on third?
Who's on second?
What?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
But yeah, as the answer to the point where it looks like we're getting a, I don't know, some kind of Mementos manga that's going to be coming out in Japan.
Ooh.
Ooh, I'd be completely okay with that.
I'd like
Yeah.
I'd like to see that get translated.
Yeah,
But
yeah, manga.
the one thing I'll say is this: what I said at the very beginning of this was that we shouldn't consider this a part of the normal Persona 5 animation canon. However, the way that the end of the episode is handled, it could be considered canon. The reason why I say it like that is because, as Igor said at the very end of the episode, that was only one possible future.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, things can change, and maybe that event won't even actually happen. It's
Oh shit, does that mean this is a parallel universe where Makoto doesn't join the Phantom Thieves?
Oh, stop it, Cole.
0 out of 10.
Fuck this universe.
Wait, cool. What are you talking about? That's the best future.
Oh!
Oh, you went there.
Here we go again. Here we go again. Oh my god. But yeah, I like the way that they handle the writing because it reminds me of self-promotion, possibly not self-promotion. It reminds me of the way that I write my own fan fiction. I write it in a way where it could be considered canon, but it's not. And that's how this animation seems to be going. It goes for the idea of it could be considered canon, but whether it is or isn't is up to your own discretion.
Remember, guys, to read Nelson's fic on DeviantArt.
Oh, stop it. Hey, I didn't go that far. You did.
Hashtag not self-indulgent.
But that's what I'm trying to say. I really love that. It makes this animation clever. And especially considering that at the very end, even Igor asked, like, about his name, but we don't get to hear the character's name. So that's why I'm saying, like, this could be considered canon, but it really depends. I think that's kind of why the idea episode 0 makes sense. Because it's only a possible future. It's not a definite event that will happen. And I guess that does make sense in terms of gameplay knowledge as well, because you may not even do this Mementos request. You may just ignore it.
Oh. And that guy will get abused forever.
Oh.
Yeah, but that...
And you will forever fuck over Mishima, which by contrast would also be fucking over the rest of your cast, because that means that you don't get the XP boost.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you just messed yourself up in the long run.
Oh my god. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I do like the way this is handled, and that is more so in the comparisons and differences, which... Yeah, the big one is literally that that they went to rob LeBlanc, whereas in the game it was suggested, but it was heavily discouraged.
This entire episode is based off of one small change, and I love it.
And I especially love how, like, Ren basically had everything ready to go, like a security system. The one thing I find funny is that not only did he set up a security system to get these guys to run, they then just dismantled it because it was just them, like, you know, putting, like, alarm lights on the normal lights.
My favorite part is when An says, "Well, what would you have done if they messed up the cafe?" And his answer is basically, "I don't know."
We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Beep.
I think this Shoujo didn't randomly decide to come back. Because that would have been weird.
Who the hell are you? Don't move!
Oh my god. Just, god damn it. And yeah, again, another major difference is, like we said, how Ren actually we actually physically see the leader. Like, this is one of the few times we actually get to physically see the person causing the distress and otherwise to a particular person. We do see it sometimes in the game with some people, but others are just completely unknown to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the stalker chick was one of the ones where we actually do see her throughout the story before we actually had to accept a request.
And the one thing I like is that the animation does, in fact, like the original animation, does bring up the stalker girl, and we actually get to see her at the school.
Yep. Well, she was one of the most notable ones that we've gotten in the game, so yeah, I'm glad they actually did bring her back.
Yeah. If anything, if only because you could, like, listen in on her conversation.
Yep.
I love how awkward she is, though. Like, after she had her heart changed, she was just so awkward to talk to the guy.
Yeah, and how he's like, "I don't know what's going on, but we can be friends."
She's totally cool with it.
It's like, yeah, that's how it works, right?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, whatever.
I don't know. Have you gotten your heart changed?
Dude, that's another thing I have to bring up. The fucking change of heart was honestly an interesting scene where he just broke down, literally just crying about everything he did, even pointing to the bag full of the incriminating evidence.
I just love how it's like the police officer is just riding his bike by, and he's like, "Huh?" And the guy's like, "Where are the thieves? There's the proof." And he's imagine what he could have been thinking. Like, wait, I just got off my shift. Do I really have to do this now?
And then, of course, the public had to hold the other guys down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I do like that the public actually had to get involved since there was only one officer there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, glorious. But yeah, I guess that's another big, as we said, that's another big change. This is one of the more complex Mementos requests.
Yeah, it is, because in the game itself, we do get an idea behind them, but we aren't given a name because we have to dig further. I believe it was thanks to Yusuke we were able to figure it out.
Yeah.
I believe so, but that's because, like, the guy went to Kosei.
Which does remain consistent with the actual Daybreakers thing, because Daybreakers, he actually does talk with the guy, but but the one thing still remains consistent is that they both went to Kosei.
Mm-hmm.
I also love at the end how they're able to piece all the evidence together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's kind of what they have to do as Phantom Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And what else, like, in terms of changes?
I know we brought this up earlier, but it's like, Ren got that from EY. Sure, he sells everything.
She
Yeah,
sells a security system.
There is.
Oh,
Go ahead, Dean.
I was thinking that he would have gotten that from like one of the stores from down the street, but from EY, EY sells guns.
Well, then again, at that point, I'm guessing. At that point, actually, at that point, that means that Ren had 4 guts.
Oh.
Oh, cheater!
Wait, this might be New Game Plus, Ren.
No.
No.
No, this is a PS3 hacked Ren.
Oh.
Exactly.
Dude, it's very possible to have 4 guts that early in the game. I'm not even lying.
Oh, okay. Did you pull it off then?
No, but a YouTuber I watched did.
That's amazing though.
Oh, that's interesting to think about.
The only other thing that I have to say about this was after they broke at the beginning when they broke into the bar and they stole the drinks and the money and everything else. The very first thing I thought when we cut back to them celebrating in the park was, I really hope they put all that meat into a freezer before they went to the park.
I know.
They
Also,
stole everything, even the meat.
Also, again, like I said, another big change that we actually got to see what the guy was talking about, what was inside his drawer, and that adds a lot more context into things.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, instead of it being like, oh hey, Ren got a recarm.
No, he gets the key. He gets the key.
Yeah.
It's just that
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like in the original, you just get an item, and in this one, you actually do get a key.
It does make me wonder if the brother went ahead and did burn the thing.
Yeah, it doesn't really like give you an idea whether he did or didn't.
Yeah, I'd like to think he eventually did, though. It's actually a little bit disheartening because it definitely shows that people aren't just born bad, usually. There is a circumstance that causes them to fall downward. And honestly, having this extra context for, what's his name, Kazuya, I think it was?
Yeah, Kazuya.
Yeah.
It makes it way more obvious how close he was probably to having his own palace.
He was very close.
Mhm.
Like, his distorted desires were so bad, and honestly, I think him, like, actually going through and killing his brother would have been the point where he would have had his own palace.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, yeah.
I feel like that's the one thing I have to say about Memento's requests. I feel like that if the person succeeds in what they're trying to do in Mementos, that's when they become full-blown palaces. And
Probably, yeah.
And then it expands. It expands instead of that one person, it expands to people around them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for this one. And actually, looking back on this Mementos request, it actually does show on how like pretty serious that these Memento requests actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if they are allowed to be left alone, they can very well worsen and even become something larger later.
Yeah, like I know we were joking a little bit regarding the stalker girl, but if you really don't do something, but thinking more about the context that this episode provides and applying it to that one, that girl could have gotten seriously messed up.
Yeah.
Imagine-
That's what I like from Persona 5 is that these are actually like kind of real issues.
Yeah, because think about look at each of the main palaces. Kamoshida he became distorted because he was never able to look past. He was never able to move past his past glory, and he basically took out that aggression and otherwise on other people, basically doing what he wanted because he could get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Madarame's palace arguably formed when he did the one thing that he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could say this stuff at this point since we're already done with the animation.
I believe
Yeah.
that Yusuke's mother having the seizure and him choosing to take the painting over calling for help was the moment his palace formed.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's
because he sees an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
then there's Kanshiro.
Kaneshiro grew up perpetually in poverty.
Yeah, and then actually came across wealth and just wanted more and more of it.
Which is that's probably what led to his palace forming.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think it was when he bought that golden suitcase was when that pretty much sparked that whole thing.
It's very likely. Or when he realized exactly what money could bring him.
Yeah.
And of course we have Futaba, which hers is a lot harder to talk about because it involves like her losing her mother and feeling like that it was her fault.
Futaba's is also a bit more complicated too, because I think it's safe to say it wasn't when her palace didn't form when her mother died, or possibly even when the note was read to her, because it seems like from what Sojiro said, she started to get better, then she started hearing the voices.
So
yeah, I think. Go ahead.
It's probably at that. It's probably because maybe at that point that's when her mental state started to worsen.
Mm-hmm.
Even though she was beginning to opening up, her mental state hasn't exactly fully healed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I could take a guess, I would say it probably formed right before the main character moved or something.
Probably, yeah.
And that honestly makes sense, because I actually remember something from the game, and this is going a little off topic. When we're introduced to Takami, come to think of it, Sojiro had mentioned before that when Futaba started to lock herself away, that he tried to get her to go to the doctor, and then asked one to make a house call, which they did, and that's when Futaba locked herself in her room. Technically it's not her field, but what if that doctor was Takami?
Probably, considering that she's local.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense.
It just seems like the timing it's probably unlikely, but the timing's a little bit too convenient.
But yeah, as you could probably tell with all of these situations, they all had a catalyst which led to them becoming something small to something large.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, so, could you also say that this could happen to that one person that was just trying to do his job, and that was basically take down the movie theater?
Yeah, I would honestly say that if he succeeded in taking down the movie theater, it would have blown off into a palace, because think about it. First it's the movie theater, and then he's going to try to take down the entire fucking neighborhood for the sake of corporation.
Yeah,
well,
I can see that.
Yeah, I was about to say he was just doing as he was told.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of these are centered around what is essentially the spark that could grow into a larger flame. So one could start with just basically lot picking, can basically devolve into, what for our guy here for this OVA could probably have worsened.
Yeah, exactly. And he was already beating his brother. His brother pretty much said that he was afraid that one day he will kill him, and we saw how fucking messed up he was in Mementos itself. Imagine if one day that just went full blown, he had one bad job. That's where I feel like that would happen. Imagine if a job went horribly awry and maybe one of his own subordinates got arrested. He would probably have taken it out on his brother and possibly killed him.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
and that would probably worsen further and start taking it out on any other person that is related to him,
or even taking it out on his own lackeys,
which he already showed obvious disdain for.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. At that point, he would have had no restraints and gone all in. This is all speculation that we're going on, guys, but still, it's interesting to think about.
It's interesting how this extra context makes you think about everything that could have happened.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool about this OVA. Now that we've actually, for some of us, actually looking back on it and saying this was released before the game, and yet knowing a lot of the context from Persona 5, having experienced it, we have a better appreciation for this OVA than before.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, me watching it for the first time, I could only just bring up how clever it was. And honestly, us speculating like this, that's good. When an episode makes you think further about this kind of stuff, it's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, we think it succeeded.
So, now that brings us to the final part of this. Is this a good episode for casual watchers and fans? So, Dean, take us off.
Well, I'm going to bring up a little bit of an extra point, because some of us have watched this OVA when it either first came out or just an earlier time, and I think I'm going to bring up my own perspective that I had back then compared to now, if that's good.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when I first watched this OVA, I thought it was all right. I didn't get a lot of the things that were going on. I didn't know who they were talking about. I didn't know what their purpose was, and a lot of the time, some of it actually did come across as too like smacking you over the face with like tons of information, like saying, "Hey, here's some things that you can experience in the game. Okay, we're not going to explain to you about all of them, but here you go."
Who the heck? Who the heck is this Kanashiro guy?
Yeah, who the heck is this Madarame fellow?
Yeah.
But that was how I thought of it. Like, I thought it was okay. I still look forward to the game nonetheless, but I didn't know if this was supposed to be like a good advertisement for the game itself because I didn't know on what to expect from the game after this one. All I really got is that for some reason you high five and another person goes.
And ooh, look at that pretty animation.
Yeah, it was a good anime. It looked very well animated, especially compared to the anime that we saw earlier. So,
Mm-hmm.
and the funny thing is that I let that thing sit for pretty much a year until today when I actually decided when we are, doing this for the podcast. And I have a much greater appreciation for this OVA than I did way before. And it's mostly because like after knowing this context, it's like a lot of it improves on how grave like the situation is for these the Phantom Thieves are actually accepting this request, and how detailed and how really dedicated they were into like showcasing on what the game is like. But I don't know why I got that like after the fact when I couldn't get that like when I didn't know about the game.
I think it's purely the idea of context. Now that we have the context of how the palace is, how distorted hearts, how the world itself works, we're able to piece together what Daybreakers was trying to tell us. Daybreakers gives us a rudimentary knowledge of what we need to know, but not enough that we can delve into the finer details.
Right, and a lot of... Okay, now going into like the whole casual watchers versus veteran, those who have actually played the game, I had that perspective when I did not know anything about the game and going into this anime. And since it took place like right in the 4 months in or so, I didn't know like what a lot of these things meant. Like I don't know why the cat turned into a bus for some reason. I didn't know this red area that looks all super shiny and glowy, and I didn't know how shadows worked in that realm, even knowing what Persona 4 was.
I guess it's just one of those, okay, I guess this is a thing that just happens in the game, I guess.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's where the casual watchers can kind of go into, because it's like, if folks are intrigued by what is going on in front of them, that they want to know more, then I think the OVA succeeded. But if they are so overwhelmed and they are like, I don't know what is going on, then they will have the negative effect on it.
Yeah, because the job of the OVA is to promote the actual game and get people to buy it.
Exactly. So, in that respect, I feel that casual watchers would be a little bit mixed on the subject. If you have some knowledge of Persona 5, now that the game is out and all, you might do fine to see on what this is like. But if you have absolutely like no knowledge of this one, it's just like, you might be confused, to say the least. But for veteran watchers, this was actually worth the look back, I have to honestly say, because it's like now we actually have the context, we can actually look at it through the story itself and how things actually did flow together, as it were. And yeah, I think it was pretty well worth the watch going back into it. So I think that veteran watchers will enjoy it just fine.
All right, Cole.
It's kind of hard for me to come up with anything else that Dean hasn't already said. I'll have to say that.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God. I was that comprehensive?
Well, the thing is that you hit the nail pretty good on the head. But I do think that casual watchers might actually enjoy this more than being on the mixed side, because I think at the very least what it succeeds in doing, once you get past the extra superfluous fluff of mentioning Madarame and Kanashiro, which I actually completely forgot about, forgot about twice at this point.
Oh.
I will say I think the OVA, even if you can't completely follow along with it, does succeed at the very least of getting the casual watcher interested in what's going on. if not because of all the context and exposition, at the very least because of the fact that we're not really as focused on the Phantom Thieves, but on a target instead. Plus, the fight in Mementos is extremely pretty. And even though the game doesn't capture that one-to-one, you can artificially make deal with a target in style in the game, even with its turn-based combat system. So I think that casual watchers might be... I'm a little bit more positive on the positive side of casual watchers liking this. I do think there are some that probably might look at that and be like, this is gonna suck. But I think that more people are going to be like, ooh, I want to know more about this.
Why did this cat suddenly turn into a bus?
Yeah. On the other hand, someone might... On the other hand, someone's probably going to like, why the fuck did this cat turn into this bus? This is weeb trash.
This is cool.
On the other hand, I can see just as many people, if they stick with it, getting to the point where Renkira summons Arsene and being like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, because Arsene looks...
especially Last Surprise playing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that was a proper point when they played Last Surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Take notes, animation.
And I think that Arsene summon...
people for back then.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Arsene's summon looking as good as it does in the OVA is deliberate because it's like, that's supposed to be the, oh, this is so cool moment. Oh, makes you want to buy the game moment.
Not the, oh, look at Ren going ghost.
Yeah.
And speaking of Arsene, it's like, oh, wow, I guess Ren got too attached to Arsene, they never got rid of him during the first battles.
Thank fuck.
As you're supposed to.
Oh my god. What about fans, Cole? Do you have anything to say on that?
Fans... I think fans are going to like this as well. I think a lot of them are going to like it just because, like, I know that some people were like, oh, why don't they just use LeBlanc anyway? And I think they probably would still like that, will like this because of the what if scenario around it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, that's kind of tricky, really. Because I remember watching this as a fan and not particularly caring too much about it, but I do know in hindsight I like it a lot more. What were you going to say, Nelson?
Oh, no. Well, to those people that say, oh, why didn't they just use LeBlanc? Did you forget about the Sayuri? Because even
Actually, yes, I did.
Because even Yusuke brought that up.
Actually, yes, I did forget about it.
Yeah, because at that point, the Sayuri is in LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm curious. Did the Sayuri appear in this episode?
No. I don't think it did. No.
So apparently, in this universe, the Sayuri is not in LeBlanc.
Oh, okay. So it's hanging out in probably in Yusuke's room or something.
But that's what I'm trying to say. In the game, like Yusuke even brings up that he did leave the Sayuri there, and yeah, a painting like that, thieves are gonna fucking take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's be fair, thieves are gonna fucking take it, especially if it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, because for them, they pretty much had to. If they didn't want the paint to be taken, the fan thieves would have to like temporarily take the Sayuri picture out and like hide it somewhere during the whole operation.
Like in Ren's attic.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, we're kind of pushing it with the time, so.
Whoops, sorry.
What else is new? It's just like old times.
Damn you, Akechi.
Stop it. Get some help. Well, we haven't even done Zach or me yet, so.
Okay, yeah, I think casual watchers. I'm a little bit more positive than Dean is on the mix side. I think a lot of casual watchers are probably going to at least be interested in knowing more about Persona 5, thanks to this OVA, or at least the ones who stick around to see the end of it. Fans, I think, are going to enjoy it too. I can think of some people who might have a problem with them doing the whole thing at the attic. But other than that, I do think that it's a very good episode.
All right, Zach.
OVA, whatever the fuck it's called.
All right, Zach.
Original video animation.
A lot better than Persona 4's OVA.
Oh, don't even get me started. We'll be getting into that can of worms later.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Take note, Dean is still bitter.
Anyway,
Oh, I'm
Zach,
curious.
go ahead.
Yeah, pretty much Cole and Dean pretty much hit the nail on the head when it comes to casual watchers. And like Cole, I do think casual watchers will at least be intrigued by the game, because the OVA at which the OVA succeeded in what it wanted to do, that make people actually want to get the game. As for fans, I really think fans will really get a kick out of this, especially now in hindsight with all the new details, and it's like oh I get it now, and other shit like that. So I think both casual. So yeah, I think casuals a little mixed, but probably more lean on the positive side, and fans will really like it.
Okay.
We're a very optimistic bunch.
Yep.
Well, we're a
Yeah.
lot better than the rest of the Persona fandom that just called the entire animation shit from the word go.
Oh, right. I forgot we're dealing with the Persona fan base.
Okay, so we should be a lot more critical on this, right?
Okay,
Oh.
I take that back. Most people won't enjoy this. I'll think it'll be shit.
Yeah, I rescind every one of my statements. This anime is shit, and on screen should be bigger.
Okay. And right there, Ned, every single person within the Persona fandom is gonna hate us.
Like they
Get
do.
ready for the mass dislikes.
Don't care.
Mass destruction.
I mean, if you get oh, stop it, Dean. If you get offended by us joking around like that, I think there might be some truth to what we're saying.
You could even have a palace.
Yes, the Persona fandom has become so corrupt that it's eventually gonna get a palace. God damn it. Why am I so fucking, like, vindictive to fandoms? Oh my god.
Maybe you're part of the problem as well.
Well,
We're all part of the problem. Every single person in a fandom is part of the problem.
I know, right? Anyways, like I said, I watched this as a first timer, but I also watched it as a fan of Persona 5. So I really, like I said, I love the way Daybreakers handles its animation, how it handles its storytelling, and otherwise. I feel like casual watchers will get into this episode. I feel as though even though it's like a one episode OVA, yeah, or as it's called now, episode 0, I still think casual watchers will get into it purely because it gives them an introduction into the world itself, what the Phantom Thieves are, and the characters of the animation / game that you might want to try to get into. As for fans of Persona 5, I think this is up there. I feel like people that have played Persona 5 or have some knowledge of Persona 5 are really going to like this, especially if you're like us and really had fun with a lot of the Mementos requests, or maybe even wanted to know more. Because this was one Mementos request that I kind of wanted to know more about in the game, not even lying. So, like, I remember I said that to you, Zachary. I said that, like, I was like, I wish the burglary ring had a little more behind it, because it felt like there's a story there.
And was I basically like, no, and they did cover this in the Daybreakers.
And I'm like, wait, what? And, like,
yeah.
I remember I said that about a year ago, and when you said that, I'm like, I gotta watch it sometime. 1 year later, and I finally watch it.
GG.
Better late than never.
This is how bad I am. It's like, people tell me, hey, watch this. I'm like, okay. And then I don't watch it for like a year or two before I finally decide, fuck it.
Dragon Ball.
Shut up, Zach.
Dean still needs to get on that, by the way.
Yep. But yeah, I feel like I'll say this. Fans are going to get the most out of this. This is one of the few times where I'll say fans will get the most out of this. But I do feel like casual watchers will still have some good enjoyment and may even get into the game / animation because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, that kind of ties up one of the loose ends we had left before the Dark Sun OVA, which that is coming up soon. We just don't know if they're going to have in English, if it's going to be subbed when it releases.
Okay, people, place your bets. It's going to be worse or better than the Persona 4 OVA.
That's kind of a pretty low bar to reach, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because Persona 4's OVA is just... Oh my god. It's like, when we do Persona 4, the animation, which also means we're going to have to do the golden animation at some point.
Which also means we're going to have to watch the golden animations OVA.
Yep.
Uh,
So, yeah, that bar is super low. Like, I'll say this right now. The Persona 4 animations OVA was so bad, it actively turned me off of Persona 4 in general.
Oh, that's something. I mean, I hate the OVA too, but it didn't deter me from the fucking game.
No, it's like, after I watched it, I didn't play... I swore off Persona 4 for the longest time.
Fair enough. I'm just pointing out, it's just like, well, then again, most of my reasoning is because I played the game that anime. Well, and then again, the OVA fucked up in so many regards. That OVA sucks.
Yeah, dude, you're talking to a guy who beat Persona 4 and got the true ending. That's why it pisses me off.
Yeah, it pisses me off too.
Wow, if these guys are that hostile towards the P4 OVA, I can't wait until we get to Golden.
Oh, yes.
But Nelson, is it worse than Trinity Soul?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Trinity
Damn, Trinity Soul is a pretty low bar as well.
Well,
no.
it's just heavily mediocre. That was the thing. This one was just bad.
Yeah, Trinity Soul is boring and mediocre. It's not like it actively angers you. The P4 OVA actively angers people.
It angered me. So.
That's the best way to put it. But anyways, that's another story for another time when we do P4 and maybe even Trinity Soul. But either way.
Oh no, God
All
no.
26 episodes of Trinity Soul.
I wanna.
We gotta. And the
We
thing,
gotta.
well, at least there's one thing we could do. We don't have to make any comparisons to the game because there is no game. Thank fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, at the very least, those episode podcasts will be short.
Yeah, right, quote unquote.
Oh,
I
alright.
spend an hour shitting on things.
Oh, yeah, so imagine, like, covering an animation which is technically supposed to be a sequel to Persona 3.
And apparently from what I heard, apparently it's so mediocre. For like the second half of the anime, they just brought back a P3 character as a main.
Yeah. 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 I don't really need to say anything else. But anyways, that's it for now. So, with that said, what do you think about our thoughts on this, well, single episode animation? Disagree with us in any kind of way? Found a comparison that we didn't cover? Go ahead and leave your comments down below and we'll discuss it in the comment section. Oh boy, so now we have to get ourselves ready for the Dark Sun OVA.
Yeah, and that'll come out at the end of the month. Though whether it'll have subtitles or not, like the rest of you guys have said, remains to be seen.
Yeah.
There's one thing I am looking forward to the OVA. It's probably gonna have the full version of Dark Sun, the theme song.
I'm fine with that. That intro for the fiery final episode they had was awesome.
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well, and I really, really hope that I don't know how they're going to cover the amount of stuff they need to cover in that one OVA, but we'll see.
This is like 2 OVAs.
Stop. Anyways, till next time, guys, I'm Keen47, aka Wolfkeen, along with...
I'm Ren Amamiya Sasakira Karusu.
Gosh.
I'm sorry, what? Sorry, I just noticed on the Smash Brothers Ultimate, the back of the box, there is a cancer and reproductive harm warning.
Oh.
How did we go from Persona to Smash?
I don't know.
Well, Joker is going to be in Smash.
Anyway, I'm confused.
Boy, ain't that the truth.
Shut up.
And this is in Mario Fanboy 15.
Why do I hang out with you people?
Because you love us.
I'm beginning to reevaluate that love.
Seriously, why is this warning on here? P65 warnings. Oh, it's California. That explains it.
Till
Well,
next
guys, the whole podcast is canceled now.
Oh, till next time, guys. Take care.
Spleen.